Hey there, greetings from Project Bibliography.
Have a seat.
So, this is our first live stream, so please bear with us. We, we also, in a bookstore at Kunzum, GK2, a bunch of other people, and we will be reading for the next 1 hour uninterrupted from the latest volume of our Zine. So I will drop in the links in the chat. So if you want to join in, just open the links in the browser, pause all your other notifications and read along. Happy reading. So we'll be starting in another 6 minutes. Thank you for your patience. Have everyone opened the articles on the phone here? So it's number 19, 20, 23, and 24. So just queue them up, scan the QR code, open them in the browser, different tabs, and read them one after the other. All right, is everyone ready with 20, 23, and 24.
Alright, so if everyone's ready with their links, um, think of this as 1 hour when you focus all your attention on reading one thing, on following our voices if you like, or just following what's on your page in front of you. Put aside all thoughts, put aside all distractions. Think of this as a meditative hour. The only difference being that instead of just reading in and out, you're also going to be reading something that will make you feel something. So take a deep breath and let's begin.
Right. Start with number 19, the Book of Dog, of Mysore. The Book of Dog is an enduring anthology celebrating dogs. It features original writers from Shubhari, Lassimo, Rashid Sales, Kunzum, Manikara, Mission Starship, Vikas Khanna, and a story from Robert Dogs. Featuring 45 original stories and essays from some of India's best known writers. The book of Governments, distinctive new voices, and individuals who have dedicated their lives to animal welfare. The depth with which dogs touch us, the special bond we have with them, and the unique place they hold in our hearts and lives. Through a series of unforgettable, funny, poignant, warm, and playful real-life stories, the authors celebrate the remarkable dogs they once knew and loved. The editors and all the authors have contributed to this project. We all royalties will go to registered animal beneficiaries. Here's an excerpt from the Book of Dog, thanks to the editor, Himali Sori and HarperCollins India. She shares her deeply personal journey from being a xenophobe to a dog. Xenophobe is someone who hates us and touches upon everything in between that any dog lover would relate to. Playful puppy moments, the journeys, the eventual silver years, and the grim past. The Book of Dog. If you're lucky, a dog will come into your life, steal your heart, and change everything. I have a confession. Growing up, I was terrified of dogs. It was an entirely irrational fear. I'd never been bitten by a dog or had an unpleasant experience. But I was a terrible child, fearful of many things I didn't understand. Social gatherings were provided, where hosts and enlightenment were the dance. All hell were confused, and everyone's attention would be focused on keeping you calm and keeping the curious dogs away. What is anyone with a dog will know? One of the unwritten rules of the dog world is that the more you avoid them, the more they'll come, sniffing around you, puzzled by the strange presence in their territory that seems to be displaying highly questionable behavior, which surely calls for a thorough investigation. Life continued the way it was, with dogs and I maintaining a respectable distance from each other, occasionally coming close to curiously sniffing around the contours of these invisible but firmly drawn lines, but never crossing them. Then, the irony, I got married into a family of devoted dog lovers. Since my partner's family lived in another city, it did not pose any immediate threat to my carefully constructed dog-free existence. But slowly, softly, dogs began to enter into the conversations. and to hear dolphins spoken about with such affection stirred the first beginnings of curiosity. These weren't just alien, scary beings anymore. Chicky, Kelly, and Randy all became real characters with defined personalities of their own. And I began to wonder, what really would it be like to befriend a dog? Had I missed out on something special all these years? And I slowly came around to the idea of giving myself a chance to see what could happen. Around this time, a friend in another city sent out a distress signal. He was moving and needed to reown his car. Would he know anyone who might want to give little Simba a home? After days of intense discussions, I hesitantly said yes. With all fallback safety nets in place, if I could adjust to this startling change, we would have friends who would take in the park. We'd get a trainer to make the adjustments smoother. It wouldn't be the end of the world. And really, how much harm could a little harm do? The monumental decision was taken. A pup would enter our home and our lives. And thus began a period of intense preparation as we anxiously, in my case, awaited the arrival of this new one. A dog person and a pet parent. Himani describes the best days as those spent in the company of birds. But fate clearly had something else in mind. Due to a variety of circumstances, little Simba could not be seen today, and his family decided to keep him with them. And suddenly, it was unbearable that after all that anticipation and all that preparation, we weren't going to have a dog. This was the biggest anticlimax if there ever was one. We had to have a partner, one we could call Simba since we had grown so accustomed to the name. We began asking around and found there was a family in our own neighborhood that was looking for homes for the little girl. Would you want to take a look? We went across, sat in the car, a bundle of pillows, while our partner went inside the seat house. Minutes later, this round, chubby, golden and white ball of love was put into my arms. And so, on a perfect day in February many years ago, little Simba came into our lives and completely changed my world. I've always been at a loss of words when it comes to talking about Simba. It is said that there are life altering instances that change everything about you and every belief or preconceived notion you held on to. Simba was just that, a moment of falling completely, excuse me, unquestioningly in love. With the sweetest temperament and the kindest heart, Simba was an old soul in a young body. There was dignity and kindness, a gentleness in him, which put everyone at ease. Oh, how I wish I had Simba in my life in growing up years. If someone at home had a challenging day, Simba would pick up on that immediately and come sit next to them. He had many nicknames, each sillier than the next, and he'd respond to each. He patiently listened to the tuneless loud singing that subjected him to every morning, with a huge grin on his face, tail slowly pumping in slow. Appreciation began to speak. He loved car rides and traveled with us everywhere, heading to the door automatically when he heard the word drive. He had a favorite blanket he carried around with him, including on his face. He loved muffins and was perhaps the only dog who recognized the carry on side, the tail immediately wagging at his station. Simba completely won over my parents, who ended up loving him unreservedly. Early mornings saw Simba and my father sit with each other in companionable silence. My father sipping and Simba lost in his own thoughts. Everywhere Simba went, he left a trail of smiles. People would stop and stare or give a back to his calm, gently called with kind eyes who never returned anywhere. Simba's arrival also opened up an entirely new world for me, from being scared of dogs and now plunged headlong into a world inhabited by dogs and dog lovers. I made friends with other dog parents. I gradually became invested in issues around animal welfare and those of animals in shelters, desperately looking for someone to adopt them. Abandoned dogs and dogs living on the streets. I learned about unethical backyard breeding and about the many dogs who were given up by their families who couldn't or didn't want to take care of them. My heart sank on hearing stories of fallen and mistreatment and celebrated stories of rescue and eventually, when Simba turned 5, we got more dogs. To give Simba company, we took ourselves. But honestly, I think we just loved the idea of being dog parents so much that we had to expand our family. And so more dogs entered our heart and our home. The delightfully crazy brothers, Jack Sparrow and Carlos. Cooper, who was rescued from a shelter. The tenacious Nicky, king of our street, who adopted our home after he was run over by a car. And more rescues, Junior and Muffin and Custard. The house became full of the most incredible, loving, amazing dog children. Each of them with their own individual, delightful personalities and deserving a chapter and story of their own. But one I won't get into. Simba did all that. But there is a heartbreaking reality that every dog parent is aware of. One we skirt around and don't put into words, but which lurks constantly at the back of our minds. Dogs have short lives. You will see them grow older, the gait becomes slower, the muzzle clear. You will see the crazy zoomings turn into a slow and painful, and you will see that beloved face turn. It is testing. And even though it was something I knew would eventually happen, I wasn't prepared for it with Simba or with any of the other dogs we had. It is said that dogs come into our lives to teach us about love and depart to teach us about loss. And 11 years and 1 month after he entered our lives, Simba left us after a brief illness. And even though I knew that parting was inevitable at some point, losing him meant losing a part of us. I know that I am now lesser. Something has changed irrevocably, and even the happiest day of the rest of my life will not be perfect. What will be a day without Simba? But dogs also teach you some of the most profound lessons of life. They teach you to live in the moment, to live for the moment. They teach you unconditional love. Given so freely, it sometimes makes you tear up, and wonder why you did what you did to deserve this. They teach you to love unreservedly and never let the child die inside you. And they teach you kindness. In 2020, when COVID hit unexpectedly and the world went into lockdown, the dogs at home were probably the only ones not unhappy in this strange new world. The humans were home and spending time with them for longer periods. It was like hitting the jackpot. And it was the dogs who kept many of us sane and provided comfort in a world where everything was uncertain. Here were our dogs, delighted with this change of circumstance and making the most of it. And that's when an idea I had thought about earlier slowly started taking shape. A book of essays and stories on these funny, furry, four-legged companions, an ode and a tribute to all the wonderful dogs from their devoted humans. And that's when another extraordinary truth about the effect of dogs came into play. Dogs bring us together in a way few things can and bring out the most remarkable side of us. When I started reaching out to writers I knew who were pet parents, I was making a huge imposition and demand of highly regarded authors and accomplished professionals who led busy lives. And it didn't have much to offer, no money. In fact, from the beginning, I was keen that the royalties should go to animal welfare charities. No sign of a publisher at that stage. Just a heartfelt request to these remarkable individuals to send in an essay on life with a dog. These are stories of love and stories of loss. For that is the nature of being a dog parent. But there is also tremendous joy and laughter. Silliness. Everything should be silly once in a while. Nothing to beat an old-fashioned bout of silliness to get some perspective. And the sheer simple happiness that dogs bring into our lives. Dogs make our world better. As you go through these pages and read these stories, you will share some of the best moments and adventures of what it is like being a dog parent. And if you haven't yet, I hope you will meet us. Thank you for reading. Thank you for reading. Let's continue.
I hope you guys liked reading this one. It's quite close to us as people who love animals ourselves. And if you turn to the next article, which is number 20 in your Zine, please let me know in case you haven't yet opened the link and we will for you. Else we can start. So,
Starting with number 20.
maybe, you can turn to the 20 page, 20th article. Alright, so we're starting with the second one. It's called How Do I Make Friends by Marie Antoinette. If I were president of planet Earth, my first law would be everyone has to work in food service for at least a year. One reason may be obvious. I strongly believe that the world would be a much sweeter place if everyone knew what it was like to work and smile hard through excruciating aches, rude customers, kitchen drama, controlling managers, low pay, and bad tips. I would hope that this experience would inspire all my citizens, particularly the ones who enjoy belittling others, to stop treating food or retail workers like soft meat. But there's another reason why I'm commanding a year of restaurant or retail duty for all citizens of Mari world. You learn how to make friends there. You learn how to make friends because you have to make friends. The restaurant is a harsh, unforgiving, overheated place, and the way to survive it well is to be able to laugh together after yelling at each other all day. Plus, you won't just make any friends. You'll inevitably meet people from bad pasts, no pasts, never to be mentioned pasts, who, as Anthony Bourdain says, find family in the kitchen. He writes, you can always tell when a person has worked in a restaurant. There's an empathy that can only be cultivated by those who stood between a hungry mouth and a $28 pork chop, a special understanding of the way a bunch of motley misfits can be a family. In cafes, I've worked with former prisoners, recent immigrants, high school dropouts, and PhD students alike. You hear stories you'll never forget and collect communication skills you'll always remember. My dad, for instance, picked up fluent Spanish by working as a dishwasher in a kitchen for a season. You may have heard the term family meal, which refers to food the restaurant staff eats together outside of business hours, an off menu concoction of leftover ingredients. Eating together puts staff on equal footing when all are sharing the same table, seated eye to eye. While it's rarely as harmonious a gathering as a cheery name implies, but the point is that it happens. Let's discuss this. The word companion replaced a word meaning fellow traveler in the 14th century and comes from the Latin someone to eat bread with. Contrast that with the word friend, which comes all the way from the Proto Indo European, that's really old, phrase to love. In Old English, the word carried an extra implication of emotional attachment and fondness. The line cooks may not have been my friends exactly, but at the table, they were my companions. Literally my companions, if you're using the word in the ancient Rome sense. And I'm wondering if this sort of companionship may help guide the current discourse on making friends, which, according to the internet, seems to be variations of it's hard to make friends as an adult, possibly because we're all at different stages of life. Anecdotally, I can add that whenever I've done any Q&A, live or online, I always get the question, how do I make friends as an adult? I just asked Google, and apparently all these thousands of articles just aren't cutting it. I never had an answer either, mainly because I had such a hard time making friends as a child or teen that adult friendships are a breeze by comparison. And every time I blink, it seems that my 73-year-old mom has a new set of friends. The narrative doesn't fit either of us. But I also wonder if it's the wrong question. I was listening to an interview recently with a powerful creative woman known for her wisdom. Let's call her Oprah. It wasn't Oprah. And my ears flapped with excitement when she was asked about her tips for making friends. I was sure she would have a phenomenal answer I could steal and then give to others in order to seem wise myself. Join a book club, Oprah suggested, and I could feel my ears drool. Really? I grimaced. A book club? That's your answer, Oprah? It's a suggestion I've read in so many tips for making friends lists that it's almost a joke at this point. Not to mention how patronizing it probably sounds to someone who has tried everything. Just put yourself out there. Not to mention how I'm probably the strangest possible version of myself in a book club because I'm dead set on impressing others, so that would be a horrible place for me to make friends. Then I realized, how do I make friends just isn't a great question, so it's not going to get a great answer, even from Oprah. Perhaps we need to cool it with the friendship talk. Perhaps we need to focus on companionship. Going back to the etymology of the two words, friend involves love and emotional attachment. Companion is simply someone you eat with. Perhaps the issue is that we're so intent on making friends that we forget all about companions. Not necessarily the eating with kind, but the sharing time with kind. I don't know how you make friends, but I do know how to make a companion because I learned at family table. Here are my tips. Assume connection. It may be important to you that your friends are in the same place in life as you are, whatever that means for you. Though I urge you to consider the marvel of intergenerational friendships. But maybe it's less important that your companions are. I'm thinking of one family table that included a solemn and studious single mom, a party-going grandmother, a part-time professional polo player, and a mysterious middle-aged chef whose status never betrayed any personal details. I wouldn't call any of us in the same place of life. In food service, people whose Venn diagram circles run in opposite directions at the sight of each other are often forced to work intimately together. I never expected to have much in common with my co-workers, but I always expected to find some way in. Whether I learned it from family table or lots of moving around the world, I've come to always expect that I'll find connection with a stranger. If I'm wrong, it's a surprise, but connection is the default assumption. If you assume that you and a stranger will hit it off, it's a fun treasure hunt to see where that gemstone of connection is. If you assume you won't because the stranger's hairstyle suggests they voted differently than you, or because they're wearing a t-shirt of a band you hate, then may I suggest an extra year in food service? Gift presents. Oddly enough, I'm less present if I'm trying to make a friend than if I'm merely companioning. If I view someone as a potential companion rather than a potential friend or loved one, no pressure, I'm much less likely to direct our interaction towards my own end game. Unconsciously, I may have a rigid idea of what would make a good friend for me, but a companion, I'll take anybody. While chatting with fellow cafe co-worker during a slow period, listlessly folding napkins or leaning against counters like a couple of carriage horses in repose, I gave full attention to their backstory and big dreams. With a companion, there's no agenda, no need to fill silent space, no temptation to exaggerate or downplay. Some of the most vivid conversations I've ever had took place while two were simply accompanying each other as the time went by, taking bites of the same unsold pastry and sharing words that meant nothing and everything. Create a container. A reason why I could be so present to my fellow server or pastry chef is because our relationship had a container, a physical space, a set amount of time, and a specific way to relate. That structure and list of tacit rules provided more leeway for intimacy since the stakes were low. As soon as our shift ended, so would our interaction. It reminds me of the men invented traditionally cis male activity as an excuse to intimately connect with other men we, which pokes fun at the ways that men have cleverly used their own containers to interact with each other as women do. This is why meeting for coffee can be torturous. The choosing where to sit, song, and dance alone, whereas attending an outdoor acro balance class might be a piece of cake. Embrace chapters. We get in our own way every time we think of anything in life as linear. Human relationships ebb and flow just like everything, especially so because humans are comically fickle. Two besties who once talked on the phone every day may fall out of touch, only to reconnect as world competitors on Facebook 3 decades later. An acquaintance from your old frisbee team may come out of the woodwork when they heard you're sick and suddenly become a close confidant. Groups of pals pair off and rearrange. Even lifelong friendships lose their elasticity like an overstretched rubber band every once in a while. Solid, long-term best friendship is a wonderful concept, but rare. I found it much more fulfilling to collect companions over my various chapters and appreciate our high and low tides as inevitable, given that we are all 60% water. When I get caught up in linear thinking, I imagine my life as a big old book with thin pages like a great grandparents' Bible and start assigning chapters every few pages with clever titles. Then I can embrace certain people in my life as companions for a chapter, rather than lamenting that they haven't popped up on every page. Be there, literally. I was once talking to a colleague, let's call her Oprah, who was constantly bemoaning her lack of friends. Yet, she spent an equal amount of time complaining when she had any plans whatsoever, and often ended up cancelling on any social obligation that interfered with her treasured hobby of ordering takeout and watching Bravo shows. Zero judgment whatsoever on this hobby. Friends aren't just going to show up at your door, Oprah, I reminded her. It was as though she wanted people to call her friends, but didn't want to have to interact. The idea made us both laugh, but Oprah agreed. The genius of family meal is that you have to be there. Whether or not you're in the mood, you're going to be sharing bread with these weirdos, and you might as well engage with them. Over time, the consistency of companionship had no choice but to transform into a version of friendship. In the age of online friendships, which are both extremely convenient and extremely at your leisure, IRL relationships may seem like a lot of work. They're going to require actually being there, literally. You may find yourself en route and wishing you'd cancel, but that's not how Oprah ultimately made friends. Companions are often more consistent than friends. I see my baristas 10x more than I see my best friends, and have something to teach us about frequent face to face interactions. Open up. A final secret. Many companions turn into friends. The key is being open to all types of companionships and giving them your full presence. For friendspiration, here are ways I've met a few of my best friends. I worked in a boutique. She was a customer. 13 years older than I and 13 times more chic. I was shocked when she one day asked me for styling advice. If it weren't for the complexity of a stuffy jumpsuit, I would have the most essential impact in my life. I worked at the worst job ever when I was 25. The kind of job that routinely makes you cry in the bathroom. I trauma bonded with a couple fantastic people there, and one of them introduced me via email to her sister because we both like talking about lipstick. Now, the sister of a coworker at the worst job is one of my longest and closest friends. I loved his art and asked if he wanted to meet up when I was in town. What I thought would be a one-off chat about illustration turned into one of my greatest platonic love stories. We shared a cab from a hostel to a mall in Santiago, Chile to buy phone cards. Fortunately for our friendship, smartphones would be invented for another 2 years. Some companions turn friends below.
Thank you for reading. That was Mari and you on how to make friends.
She actually has a very brilliant Instagram account. She's an illustrator and a writer. And on her Insta, she kind of distills, you know, different relatable aspects of life into these different kinds of illustrations and pie charts and stuff. It's pretty cool, and you should definitely check her out.
Okay, if you want to grab some water, please we should resume in a couple of minutes.
We
Next
shall take a
up,
5 minute break and come back to the next one.
which is all about travel, back to back. Sure. Let's start. Take a whole but
Hey everyone, so before we resume, I would once again like to thank Kunzum. They have been our partners since we first started doing these events offline. And they've got this lovely space here. They've also got the most well curated collection of books that you'll find in Delhi, in all of their stores, especially this one. So make sure you check out all of their books, and especially there's a section that we have curated as Project Bibliotherapy. It's on the first floor, so there's a table that we have curated, which has books from all of the authors mentioned in this scene as well as our first scene. So we've got a special offer for you guys. So like if you purchase a book from there, you get it at 15% off from that section. And you also get a coffee or a tea on the house. We've also got some snacks arranged for you guys, which are on the way. So we will have a session after the next 2 weeks where you guys can mingle and have an interactive session with us and basically just enjoy yourselves. So yeah.
all right. Let's now move on to what's it like to be a solo female traveler. But either way, what's it like to be a solo female traveler? Don't you feel scared traveling by yourself? How do you pick your destinations? These are the most common questions that come my way, online and offline, from strangers and friends. Even the nth time, I find myself blank for the first few seconds. Solo female traveler. Solo female traveler. Which part of this place do I deconstruct first? Where do I begin? There's several points to unpack. One, why travel? Two, safety concerns around traveling alone as a woman. Three, why travel at all? And four, where to go? The myth of solo travel. When I hear the term solo traveler, I visualize a lone traveler hiking through the Alaskan bush like Christopher McCandless. If I'm not the one visualizing this scene, the person asking me questions is solo travel in today's common parlance. It's far from solo in its literal sense. Even if you're traveling alone, there's a high chance that you'll make a friend or two within the first day of reaching your destination, unless it's very remotely near. The person sitting next to you on the bus, your travel guide, fellow hostlers, companions on a guided tour, or the local people at the destination. The possibilities are endless. The company may last a few minutes, days, or the entire trip with still company. Solo travel doesn't mean you're going to be alone all the time, but it can mean spending more time with yourself than you otherwise would if you want to. If you don't, there are many ways to meet new people and not feel like you're by yourself. I started traveling alone because I was fed up making plans that never materialized with friends. Coordinating schedules and travel preferences would take up a lot of time and energy, and beyond a point, it made no sense to wait on others to explore the world. It helped that I had already traveled extensively through rural areas for work, so traveling by myself for leisure didn't feel odd. Rather was more comfortable and laid back than what I was accustomed to. Solo travel is my default preference now, as I only need to cater to my own interests, moods, and preferences. It's addictive. I love spending time with myself, and solo travel gives me a lot of independence and flexibility to go with the flow. This is not to say I don't enjoy trips with friends and family, but it's not the same. The purpose there is to spend time with loved ones, whereas when I'm traveling on my own, it's all about me and the place. People often ask me, doesn't it get very lonely? It does sometimes. But I don't think that's got much to do with travel in itself. All of us experience loneliness in some shape or form in life. I've sometimes felt more lonely and disconnected when traveling in a group than by myself. Also felt more connected to strangers with whom I've spent a few minutes or hours than with people I've known for decades. And at times, I felt pure bliss exploring a new place in complete silence. As long as you're comfortable with your own company, there's nothing awkward about solo travel. In fact, this is a great way to get to know yourself and become more confident and independent. Toilet together. I wish the prefix female wasn't used to describe women who travel, blog, or do anything really. But that's a whole different conversation. Safety is the top concern when it comes to traveling alone as a woman, especially in India, but also abroad. It's unfortunate and unfair that the onus of taking precautions lies with us. In my experience, it's always a good idea to get a local sim with an intimate plan while you're traveling abroad. It also helps to keep someone in the loop of your broad whereabouts and an emergency contact number should an untoward incident happen. I usually book my accommodation in advance and try to arrive at my destination at an hour when I can easily get public transport and commute without stress. This sometimes means letting go of cheap flight tickets because it's not practical to take a flight at midnight and reach in the wee hours of the morning like many budget travelers do. I'm not talking for all women here, but the concerns are real, and our decisions and comfort levels vary based on our own personal experiences, privilege, and past trauma. If I'm uncomfortable staying out late with strangers, I decline invitations at the cost of coming across as hastily, boring, or offending the person extending the invitation. Not talking about creepy and level, because then there's no dilemma. But those who are friendly and helpful and offer to show me around. But I do not want to take this. There are also times when I have to take it, when I have taken the leap of faith and trusted strangers. And thankfully, I've not been regretted so far. I think what's important is to follow your instinct and prioritize your comfort and safety over all other things. At the same time, we can't stop living and traveling the way we want to in the fear of something going wrong. That's giving too much power to perpetrators. Safety concerns aside, what I am most paranoid about while traveling to remote areas is something else. Toilets. Traveling on a period in rickety public transport on bumpy roads, traveling with severe period plans, traveling without access to a toilet for over 8 to 14 hours at a stretch. Been there, done that. Things nobody tells you when you're young and adventurous. It's okay to want to travel to the hinterland to the same freedom as men, but hygiene matters. UTIs are common. These are not things we should take lightly. The lack of access to toilets cannot be ignored when traveling to rural areas where girls sit dedicated in the open. Many homes don't have toilets, and even if they do, they're either defunct or unspeakable conditions, despite what's much done for public safety. While I took these things like free I adjusted wherever I went. I'm now very particular about two things wherever I go. Accessible reusable toilets and clean kitchens. Even if it means carrying my food. I'll spare you the details of my horrendous toilet experiences, but here's a fun photo of a makeshift toilet on a slow pond, 11,000 feet in sea. Not so fun while using it, especially when the plastic sheet blows up to ruin every second and there are people outside. Chemistry of toilets is about finding a toilet and clearing our way to it and through it. Often becomes a bonding exercise for molding and gardening toilet doors who accompany each other in the middle of the night because toilets is far away for a dimly lit area. The struggle is real. Here are some toilet tips when you're on the road. Always carry tissue paper. Plan your itinerary such that you have access to it every 4 hours if possible, especially if you're on vacation. Take small sips of water continuously to stay hydrated on long journeys. Drinking less water can cause water retention, which results in increased toilet. If you need to use toilet, don't hold back with asking to stop or taking it lower, even if it means delaying your journey. If you can, just so relax. This outdoors if the toilets are unmatched condition. While I travel, most of my travels involve bad roads and hard bends because I love exploring remote places that don't have the best amenities. Vacations and comfortable staycations have their own place in purpose, and I occasionally indulge in these too. But the trips that inspire me and stay with me are the ones that push me out of my comfort zone and offer a deeper understanding of life. As people, we love putting travel experiences in pieces. Work versus leisure, planned versus unplanned, mountains versus sea, luxury versus budget, etc. What's more important is to be conscious of the purpose behind our travels as to why defines the what, where, when, and with whom. I also believe that the journey is as important as the destination. And one reason I love to travel and embrace uncomfortable journeys is that they teach patience, resilience, and humility. The long hours, bad roads, unprecedented delays, changing of plans, inefficiencies, and lack of amenities in smaller towns are matched by unforgettable life experiences, the kindness of strangers, finding joy in the most unexpected places, and discovering the extraordinary in the ordinary. A few years ago, I was reflecting on what I wanted for the life. The fact that most of us don't live in the moment and treat it as if it's our last draft. Here's this documentary Bollywood movie stars. In recent times, several friends have shared similar thoughts in light of the pandemic. I don't want to retire regretting that I didn't make the most of it and however long or short that living a full life to me means experiencing as many memorable moments and unique experiences as I can. Experiences and interactions that aid my understanding of the world, of myself, and equip me to leave the world a little better than I found it in some small way. I choose my destination keeping this objective in mind. When I think about why I travel, Pico Ayer's timeless words invariably come to me. So I'll end this post with an excerpt from his essay. We travel initially to lose ourselves, and we travel next to find ourselves. We travel to open our hearts and eyes and learn more about the world than the newspapers will communicate. We travel to bring what little we can in our ignorance and knowledge to those parts of the globe whose riches are differently dispersed. And we travel, in a sense, to become young fools again, to slow time down and get taken, to fall in love once more. You could. Thank you for reading. We have a short photo essay written by Janice Faria from India.
This will be an interesting experience for you as there's visual as well as listening to us as well as reading it. So hope you enjoy this one. This is the last essay that we'll be reading. Before that, just wanted to ask you for just a few seconds because I have to coordinate something. So let's begin. This is an article in the in the Bombay Literary Magazine. Introduction: Everything Forest by Janice Faria. The photographic essay, at its best, is an act of seduction. Words and photography dance the tango, leading, gathering, swaying as one, often suggesting, each incomplete without the other, both nudging the narrative forward. When I reached out to Janice Faria in commissioning this piece, I knew I wouldn't have to be concerned about the words. One of our finest writers of the moment, Janice, has brought her customary grace and powers of observation to this eco journey that serves concurrently as a meditation on stillness, on the relationship between human and plant life, on the redemptive powers of home, played out in the forest behind her family home in Shillong. Her photographs have an unspoken poetry all their own, startling in their lucidity, enveloping in their richness. Everything true, everything resonant, everything poignant. Welcome then to Everything Forest. Siddharth Dasgupta, the Bombay Literary Magazine. Everything Forest. The word for word is forest. As is the word for writer, I've begun to believe. The word for home, for belonging, for what isn't a forest, but everything, all connection, all residents, all life. The history of the world, a friend lectures to say, is the history of forests. How they have been saved or not saved tells us all we need to know about us. Which road we are choosing to hurtle down in wild and discompassionate abandon. Here, in these hills, people believe forests are the playgrounds of spirits. They are the holders of ritual, remembrance, mystery, reverence, receptacle, and conjurer of our stories. On a larger scale, though, everything is forest, inspired by the idea borrowed from permaculture. Everything gardens, which gestures towards the notion that nothing in nature, including us, works on its own, that everything, like within a garden, our lives, the world, is connected with other beings, our allies. And that perhaps only through understanding this may we cultivate a healthy ecosystem. For years, though, I'd ignored it. The forest behind our house in Shillong, my closest forest. I don't even know why. Perhaps I was not worthy yet to find it. Perhaps something in me needed to shift, to be uncovered, to be made raw and vulnerable. Perhaps we may enter a forest only when we are ready to be transformed, when we are invited. Is there a right way to enter the forest? I wonder. Perhaps only with an openness that allows the wind in the trees to be our guide, so that a path unfurls before us that continues long after it ends. In this way, all is realigned for me. Words, ways of being, because everything is now routed through this new cartography. How to understand as a forest might understand. Everything, for one, slows down. I am invited to think about time and steadiness and seasons, to travel through the motions of the day as a tree might, standing still, reaching out, reaching down. Maybe this is why I feel more connected to the earth, this earth, these hills. How long it has been since I've been away, searching perhaps only for myself. But this return, in truth, pandemic inspired, has been wholesome, nourishing to the heart, the mind, the writing life. And I find myself here, in the forest behind our house, in the hills that cradle this town, in the waterfalls and rivers that cascade out of the countryside, in the rocks and stones that I throw my arms around. I've come to realize that the only way to truly know a place is to walk through it. The only way to love a place is to walk through it. To step your feet upon the ground, to enter into its rhythm, its breathing, to know its gradations with your souls, the shape of its river stones and pebbles, the squelch of its mud, the dripping of its roots, the tickle of its grass, the rustle of its fallen leaves. I am beginning to understand that to be a writer, I need to walk into this forest world. To live, yes, but also to inhabit. There is a difference. I might collect experience, like an assiduous archivist, but to walk into the forest world is to be, to brush against the trees, touch the wildflowers, to step into the leaves. To touch wildflowers is to stop time. Please give me a second, sorry. I am learning that merely to look at the form of trees, of plants, is to notice that they are the shape of stories, that there is morphological unity in branch, twig, bud, flower, leaf, and seed that speaks to a unity of structure, of form I seek in my writing. A forest contains all the words I will ever need, which is why I carry it with me, in me, of course, wherever I go, but also to the table where I write. Gifts from the forest, gifts on early morning walks that inspire with their shape and form and the lives they led before they found me. To walk in the forest is to pause, to stoop low, eyes wide, knees on the ground, and realize that this space is multiple universes all at once. The cosmic above, the minute below, the patch of moss and entire galaxy, teeming with life. I have rarely stopped to look at the miniature like this, and it teaches me humility. Small lives, small towns, small creatures, often overlooked, dismissed, and yet teeming with life. All these years, I have been led to believe that being here is not enough, that to do well and be successful is to stay away in a big city, another country, that this place is not enough. And now I see that it is more than enough, a universe of enough and more. To become more in tune with forests is to be more in tune with the world, to feel the invisible tug between you and everything, to ask, where do my borders lie? Where is the line dividing the world and I? And to have no reply other than it is not there. Often, while on a walk, I stop and stand and ask the two questions that Robert Macfarlane thinks we ought to ask of any strong, poignant landscape. What do I know when I am in this place that I can know nowhere else? And what does this place know of me that I cannot know of myself, or that I haven't known of myself so far, and in so long? What does this landscape reveal about itself and about me? How do I place myself, small, fleeting, within it? How do I find? And perhaps this is always all that matters, context, my feet, my ground. Thank you for reading.
Thank you so much for coming out, trading, getting traffic, and meet only Sunday. Thank you so much for being a part of this. This is the start of the next phase of Project Rebuilding. Our project, which we've been working for over 39 months with one mission, to nudge you to read. We believe the internet has everything the world has to offer. It's the greatest library known to us, humankind. And yet, what we end up consuming on it was probably produced in the past 24 hours. Just scroll whatever the feed shows up. And we, in our way, are trying to change that one zine at a time. 42 authors at a time, 42 articles at a time.
This zine was born out of a need for us to nudge people to discover stuff that's beyond what they usually find on the internet. We have spent months and days curating the first zine, which came out in August 2021, and has traveled quite a bit from the Jaipur Literature Festival to every other book related or reading related event in Delhi. It's been to Bombay at the Bombay Zine Fest. It's been to Bangalore at the Bangalore Literature Festival. And the response we received has both been surprising as well as, I mean, rather humbling because a lot of the people who we met during the course of the journey with the zine were actually happy to see that something like this exists. And a lot of people like to say that reading is dead, but our travels with the zine and otherwise prove that this is actually not true. You all are proof of this. You all have braved Delhi traffic and come on a Sunday for an event related to reading. So this is all the proof we need. And as Project Bibliotherapy, our mission is to get more people to read and expand their reading, to actually read better than they usually do, to go beyond the bestsellers, to go beyond the obvious, and actually read something that they're interested in rather than reading something that's based on bestseller lists and things like that.
So going forward, every quarter we would be releasing a new series, and we are also launching a reader-thon. So starting today on a social media and Substack, Instagram we are at project.bibliotherapy, Twitter bibliotherapy42.
Speaking of, we would request you if you could share stuff about this event, if you liked it, if you could post about it on your social channels, tell your friends about it, because this isn't the first. This is actually one of many that we're planning, not just in Delhi but also in other cities and eventually, hopefully, in other countries as well. So your support is very important to us, and we love if you could share stories on your Insta, tag us. We're at project.bibliotherapy on Instagram, and the hashtag for our zine is hashtag biblio42zine.
Biblio 42 is the name of a new corporate structure. We finally became legit, registered, and real a couple of months ago.
We're basically two curious nerds who quit the corporate grind to start something based on our mutual love for books and reading. And it began in 2020 as just a sanity project, but then it evolved into a mission, into a venture, and your support for this venture is very appreciated. And we would love to invite you to join our community. Our community is called the Readers of 42. Nitin will tell you a little more about it.
So 42 is a nod to our favorite book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. So if you haven't had the pleasure of reading it yet, we are jealous. And the readers of 42 are basically people with one thing in common. They want to enhance their reading and expand their reading. So we would be asking you to join us in this mission. We are launching a new membership scheme where you could either be an annual member or a lifetime member of the Readers of 42. As an annual member, you get four zines, one every quarter, along with access to our readathon, which goes live today. So for the next 6 weeks, we'll be showcasing a page from the zine every day so that you could read along with us no matter where in the world you are. And if you notice, every article linked out in this zine is accompanied by three extra goodies. One of them is audio related goodie, one of them is a video nugget we found buried somewhere, and the last one is a link to the author's newsletter or what work they are creating out there. And we also have a reader's corner at the bottom where there's a fun little prompt for you to fill up after you read your read for the day. And We welcome you to be an annual or a lifetime member of the Readers of 42, and it makes for a great gift as well. The gift of reading is what we received from our parents long back when we were young. So it's because of them that we are now reading and even considering this as a full-time venture we are 100% invested in. Thank you so much for your time. And
We also have coffee and tea, and we've got some snacks for you guys. What we would suggest is that since coffee and tea is not served upstairs usually here at Kunzum, let's head downstairs. We go to this first floor, and we can continue informal conversations and interactions there. And we would also love to personalize your zines for you by giving you one of the recommendations that relates to something you like, relates to something that you're interested in, and you can start reading the zine with that recommendation.
yeah, thank you so much. And if we could all like come up to the stage, we'd love
We'd
to
love to take a photo.
capture this moment
Yeah.
because this is. Thank you so much, guys.